in particular, I think Heilong Fjord is a very fast map, and I I want to say that it's a bit common to see that the A and the B point could be the end point. Like if the defender
Hmm.
team does decide for the A and the B point, they usually go all in for the A and the B point, and it's very difficult to kind of fight against when a defending team is going all in. There's a lot of times where it's just the time that matters the most. Even if the attacker team has more resources, sometimes the time just runs out. But it does lead to a situation. If they do get the A or the B point, it comes down to a landslide victory for whoever has more resources. I've seen a lot of times where the defender teams have just barely been able to hold out or fail to hold out, and then they just get pushed all the way to the base point as the attackers just run them down.
Wow, it's so exciting to see the like two very powerful team clash together.
I'm interested to see what kind of strategies they are going to pull out. I'm taking a look at the lineup right now. I'm kind of scared what YYY might be doing with
Wow, a lot of cavalries.
their Chevalier and I mean Chevaliers. I haven't seen them since the HLL and since the massive nerf they got to their crossbow retainers. And honestly, I'm wondering what kind of setup they're going to go for the Chevaliers here. But both the Chevaliers and a YY and the Zhuangzi heavy cavalry coming out, they could just purely overwhelm BZZW here with just sheer cavs. And actually, this is also reminds me of the other time that I've seen someone sally out. It might actually be YYY again. This might actually be a a second time they've done this.
Ah, because the last time they used a lot of companion cavalry.
No, not just in recent. I mean, I think I've seen this before. Maybe a different team, but I've seen a sally out with Chevaliers on Harbor City, and they were surrounding the base, the supply point here, and it does look like BZZW kind of just hovering around this point. Very cool setup though, with a bunch of
What?
shields. Looks like they're kind of ready. They're kind of expecting this somehow.
Why just coming out of the safety?
Indeed, in force as well. There's no other unit quite like it. The Chevaliers coming out with both cavalry and crossbows here. The crossbows will be a pain for BZZW, and it is another surround. They're probably going to use a lot of trebs here, and BZZW is just fully blockaded into this supply point here. Wonder whether or not does look like they want to go for it. They send in the cavalry. It's going to be a bit costly, but I think they're making their way through. Look at the bodies just dropping onto the floor, though.
Wow.
They did carve up a big section of the infantry there. I didn't even get enough time to check the unit score right now, but I can definitely imagine that people are dropping really fast. We're losing probably hundreds of units.
Absolutely.
The strongest will survive!
Zhuangzi heavy cavalry still rotating around, and we still have a lot of the crossbows still just shooting. They managed to clear the entirety of the supply point here.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust!
I'm just wondering whether or not it's the heroes. I can't see very many YYY heroes around, but nearly all of the heroes from BZZW is also dying. Oh man, YYY is not letting up as more cavalry comes out through the front gate, and they've captured the fast supply point on the left-hand side. We also get to see some
Wow.
Yan Yudao cavalry. BZZW doesn't seem to know what to be able to do, but they do a massive respawn now. Does look like that Zonji heavy cavalry getting locked up. I'm wondering whether or not this respawn can catch most of the remainder cavalry as they kind of piecemeal it in. YYY kind of needs to reform or get more units out on the field as they're kind of getting pushed out now. But that was... Whether or not the sally out was effective or not, we'll have to find out as the battle continues. We still have plenty of units to go through, but... Or maybe not. Taking a look at the unit score, YYY only has 140 tier 5 left, and it mostly should be cavalry. There's a lot of tier 3s available for BZZW, so I think it's going to come down to BZZW unit advantage. But if YYY keeps the pressure up, and that's another wipe. There's not a lot of units out for BZZW here, and the cavalry is actually wreaking havoc on what remains, though the heroes are still being a pain. Doesn't look like YYY's got the lockdown on the heroes that are a bit tough to kill right now, though they might be just trading heroes. The pike from YYY does fall down. Big smack, but the Yanyudao cavalry, no, not the Yanyudao cavalry, the Zwanji heavy cavalry just wiped out the halberdiers. Probably the last remainder of the anti-cavalry here on the supply point side.
Wow, YYY almost lost all its tier 5 units.
But those that remain are still being quite a menace. I'm surprised at how dedicated YYY is being. They're still throwing units out here. Oh, and very fascinatingly enough, I didn't get to speak about this earlier, but the changes to Spahis and the Vassal Longbowmen did come through. I didn't even notice that BZZW actually managed to get 1 siege tower, now 2 siege towers up on the wall in the meantime. YYY doesn't seem to want to slow down. They're kind of moving back towards the center here. And just in the first few minutes, I think there's been less than 4 minutes right now, and we've nearly ran out of units. I'm quite impressed at how aggressive YYY is being right now. And it goes to show, I mean, I just noticed as well that 2 of the members from BZZWs are actually permadeath. They're down to 13 players right now.
Wow.
Catching the tail off of the BZZW as they run up the wall, probably for safety, but also to capture that A point. Does look like the members from YYY that was defending that point are going to fall fairly easily. That's a lot of Iron Reapers. I think I count 9 Iron Reapers up on the wall.
Wow.
Oh,
That's a lot.
that's a lot. Using their own archers against them there. But there's still a lot. That's a lot to deal with though. 9 Iron Reapers. I don't think YYY is going to have an easy time, but they've kind of made it look easy as both teams have run down to a very, very few units, and BZZW can't afford to lose their Iron Reapers here. They're going with the classic artillery setup, kind of trying to slow down the battle. Probably a bit wise, but unless they can get some good shots onto that cavalry, the real menace of the battlefield right now, is probably just a waste of time. But nevertheless, heaps of resources. But I don't even know when BZZW placed down artillery here, considering that they've already used 14 of their artillery, and they only placed around about 7 of them on the wall right now. We're getting some counterfire from YYY. They've deployed things from ballistas to There was a cauldron. I think they just. I think the mortars destroyed it. Looks like. Yeah, they're destroying the ballistas right now. Probably very terrifying for the Iron Reapers to get hit by a ballista. A blue one would definitely one-shot them. There are a few units that can withstand a ballista shot. Now that we got a little bit of a breather, I want to just double check how many heroes are left to either side, because by the looks of it, YYY is down to only 13 heroes, but BZZW's only got 11.
Wow.
This is the first time I've kind of, like, seen a defender team be brought low so quickly, and it's not that I haven't seen it before in the CBL, but YYY could very much end this battle quicker. The quickest defense I've ever seen is by killing all of the attackers 3 times, and if they manage that, that would be probably the fastest defense victory I've ever seen.
That's very aggressive.
Very aggressive. Most of the time, defenders just bide their time. Iron Reapers do hit the ground. The cavalry is around. We also have a Lancelot coming out from YYY. Yan Yudao cavalry comes in. Spahi's right now.
Together we stand.
Oh, smoke pile. Another Yan Yudao comes in. Goes for the thickest pile. But the Iron Reapers sustain. Oh no. The heroes from BZZWs are dying like flies. I didn't even notice. 6 of them have already died, and I think most of them are going to be permadeath here. Even if the Iron Reapers carry the day, the Iron Reapers themselves cannot be controlled in this scenario. Not very well, that is. So it would be wise for YYY to just aim for the heroes here, and I think they are. They're sniping the heroes out one by one. Just this longsword, short sword, and I think an Odachi was in there, but he just died. They're dancing right through the Iron Reapers.
Ashes to ashes.
They might get locked up here. A couple of them just dropped,
Together we stand.
but they managed to kill the longsword and the short sword.
Together we stand.
Is that all of them? Even with... There's probably a lot of tier 1 units out for... could be coming out for YYY, but... I think the last member from BZZW just left, and we have a defense victory of only... Oh, man. I don't even know how long that was for a second. That was a...
Okay.
That cut it short.
Can we check the post-battle analysis? Wow, it's mind-blowing. Why I just killed all their heroes?
A very aggressive strategy. When you got teams like this, you can pull off some crazy, crazy strategies. And it was impressive. The unrelenting aggression coming out for YYY. I am baffled about how... I'm looking at some of the scores, and we have a dual blade with 12 kills coming from YYY. An
Indeed,
impressive 12 kills. But nevertheless,
That's
BZZW
crazy.
did also a really good job trying to defend against that. You do see some of their members scoring very high, but YYY did much, much better in this case.
Wow, I think it's like the first time in CBL.
First time I've seen a defense just end the battle just by killing the attackers, and not to mention so quickly as well. We also have one of the spears from YYY being best helping hand with 21 assists. That is a very good performance. It does seem like YYY is working together to snipe out those heroes, and so it does look like they had a strategy from the get-go. They wanted to take out the heroes fast, so they aimed for those. It's one of the biggest departures, I think, from regular play is the hero deaths, and it it does come into play, but not so readily, I would say. Um, Only having 2 respawns, a maximum of 3 deaths for CBL, does put on the pressure for you to not die, and I think BZZW really learnt that after that Harbor City attack. We will be switching sides though, so I'm excited to see how YYY plans to attack, which, interestingly enough, I don't think they can afford to use an all-cavalry strategy again, but I'd love to see it. They need to take the wall,
Yeah.
though, from A.
Wow, what an amazing match. So congratulations YYY for the first win. And I think their strategy is just simply mind-blowing. Do you have any prediction for the next match, Azaki?
Honestly, it's hard to say. YYY right now is becoming notorious with their cavalry usage, and mass cavalry usage, of course. Just the sheer number of them
Yeah.
is always impressive. But Harbor City is one of the maps where there is no B point to capture, or ground point in this case. So they will have to take a fight on the wall. If I was BZZW at this point, I would probably try to go for an all-in on the wall and not even attempt a fight on the ground. Mainly because I'd just be too terrified of their cavalry here. But who knows?
Absolutely.
Maybe BZZW will reverse it and go with their own all-cavalry setup. It would be interesting, but I'm guessing BZZW will go for an all-wall defense here. So they'll have to be mindful of the trebs. In previous CBLs, I've seen the defending team actually not ignore the siege towers and aimed for the trebs on Harbor City. And it was very interesting because without the trebs, the attackers have a very much difficult time getting on top of the wall, and especially since the defender team at that time made sure that the attacking team didn't come up those siege towers without getting killed at the top.
Wow, since YYY has a really aggressive play style and they're really good with their cavalry, because last time their match with SKT, they also spamming a lot of cavalries, like 15 companion cavalry. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, that was a high number of companion cavalries. And the companion cavalries were lovely as well. Largest cavalry unit in the game. And when you just see them on mass, it just looks super impressive. And you just watch the
Absolutely.
infantry drop really fast. Even with the sally out with the Chevaliers and the mixture of Chevaliers with the Demez Arbalist, that was pretty effective still. And they had a combination of shields and polearm units to defend against them, but looks like the all cavalry setup did win out in the end.
Absolutely.
I'm not
And
sure
from the
what
BAM pick,
better.
we can see that YYY chose 玄甲 heavy cavalry. So maybe we can expect to see more 玄甲 in later matches as well.
Oh, for sure. Zonjia Heavy Cavalry are the, how to say, best cavalry in the game currently. I think they have the highest potential and have the highest likelihood of turning a battle by themselves. Companion cavalries are very good cost effectively, but
Mhm.
There's nothing better than the Zwanzi Heavy Cavalry's weapon veteran just slashing right through hordes of infantry like they're nothing.
Companion carry was banned by BZZW.
Oh,
Maybe they saw
that's
the
right.
match YYY versus SKT.
Oh man, that would be that is something to watch out for. Since
Mhm.
we didn't get to see the pick ban phase, but it is probably because they were afraid of the companion cavalries. That's why they banned it out. And I wouldn't be surprised if I watched YYY's battles. I would be ban companion cavalries. It would be the obvious choice because I think at this point we're so far into the CBL that teams are now trying to learn the common strategies or the common play styles of their opponents. So BZZW pulling out that ban is not a surprise at all.
Absolutely. And I think it's funny that they didn't pick any units. Maybe they don't want YYY to know their strategy.
It would kind of backfire. Safe picking a unit can be vital, but I want to say that maybe they're flexible with any setup. Though the units that YYY did ban out are two of the most valuable anti-cavalry units in the game, which are the Medal Battalion
Nodal,
and
Sunsword
the Sunwoods
Phalanx. Yeah,
Phalanx. I mean, if
absolutely.
honestly, letting the Sunwood there's no way you couldn't save the Sunwoods Phalanx, but maybe keeping the Medals open would have been a good choice against a team that seems to be coming notorious with cavalry usage. All right, a bit of a mixed lineup from both teams at the very least. So we get a pretty much standard start.
Mhm.
Taking a look at the units here, does look quite even. I think it's uh, 668 for YYY, and a lot of tier 4s, in fact, for YYY, actually. A lot of
Mhm.
heavy infantry Iron Reapers for BZZW. So it does look like they might want to take a fight on the wall at the very least. But I'm surprised at how many tier 3s they are that are coming that are counted on the BZZW side. Could come in handy later. Should never underestimate some of the tier 3s, especially Halberdiers. I think Halberdiers are one of the best tier 3s you can have in the CBL.
Indeed.
Oh,
I see a lot
I
of
actually.
slingers.
The Slingers throwing at the siege towers. Um, that's actually not a bad strategy. They don't deal very much damage, but at least they deal damage. I think a while back this was a strategy for I think Rattan Marksman used to shoot down siege towers, but I think you guys made it so that ranged units couldn't damage siege towers, so slingers can deal damage to siege towers right now. So it's very interesting to see. Add that
Yeah.
little extra damage to help out. Could suppress these siege towers long enough for YYY maybe has to take a bad fight either through the front gate or up a ladder. Though both options equally as terrible. Treb
Wow,
onto
YYY
the
is not having a
Falconettis.
good time. The first wave of siege towers all down.
Indeed. And already the one of the siege towers already below half health, and it's just respawned. I think YYY doesn't know how to handle this kind of suppression. Normally, we would switch into some kind of mortaring phase as they're trying to push these siege towers up. Though I have noticed that they actually kind of walked through the back gate and gone towards the supply point here. I didn't notice. Though we have Zwanji Heavy Cavalry down on the ground here. Also with a Fortebraccio. Love to see Fortebraccios around. probably the precursor to the Sunward Phalanx.
First blood.
There goes first blood for BZZW, catching that spear. Oh, infantry coming through the front gate here. We could see a fight.
塞外悲风切，交河兵已结。
Does look like the Murmiolones go straight in against those ISGs. Iron Reapers now clobbering their way through. Oh, we also see a Orochi, but it doesn't look like their stab is strong enough as they just get cut down. Iron Reapers versus Iron Reapers right now. The Zwanji Heavy Cavalry also tries to get into the mix, but I think they just get cut up. Whoa! Zwanji Heavy Cavalry coming out for YYY, as also Sparkies, they clean up that center fight with massive amounts of cavalry. And I would say as expected, but I think BZZW
Walk in the park.
kind of dropped the ball here. They've now got half a team on the wall and the inner supply point taken. I think once a switch happens from YYY, they're going to take this supply point very easily, coming in from inside the wall.
Wow.
So it does, so I guess they were prepared, but whoa, Pike from YYY just threw himself on top of the wall and died just now. Does look like BZZW does look like for a massive retreat. Whether or not YYY wants to try to catch them on the bottom of the stairs is another question. Catch out a couple of the units. There's two sets of Iron Reapers still stuck on the stairs here. They're getting caught at the bottom of the stairs. Doesn't look like BZZW wants to help them. That's another huge loss for BZZW here. A point will get captured and they get pushed back to their supply point here. I'm actually surprised at how effective the Spahis are right now, but I do love myself a good old Stompy Cav. The mastery for the Spahis, well, not the masteries, actually. The little bit of rework, though it wasn't mentioned in the update log. Spahis rework to their Impassioned and Kuptapade really increased their effectiveness, and I think it made them quite strong for a cavalry.
Yeah, yesterday AP also used a lot of that cavalry as well.
I haven't had the opportunity to watch those matches, so I will be excited to watch back any of the playbacks I can get my hands on. I think they have potential. They've got a real cool style of CCing the entire front line, and they're fairly tanky, though I think any anti-cav will easily rip them apart, though. Anyone that's not CC immune or well, have better reach than the Spahis at this point will probably see the ground more than anything else. I can't imagine what it would be like to constantly get knocked over by the Spahis. What also, I believe they can stun. I believe they can daze heroes. So that could definitely cause some havoc as they disrupt more than just the units. A bit spread out. YYY could be looking for a lot of things. BZZW's clumped up quite a bit here. YYY does swing over to the supply point. So once again, I'm always impressed at like how teams' movements start becoming so magical. Watching that cav just roll up ready for the attack. But it does look like YYY does concede the supply point. And point blank charge by the Winged Hussars ineffectively. But impressive to see the commitment here.
Wow, nice trap.
Let's see if they can hold them. Treb does hit hard. Oh man,
Wow.
there were two good
That's
Trebs in there, but it does look like BZZW just cutting down the attacking force right now. Just the two Iron Reapers left.
设计稳
Whoa,
定，
where did those guys come from? Looks like two Lancelots coming up from the rear. They do take the supply point. Let's see if they YYY can take the fight. Does look like a couple of units. What happened? I didn't even see anything.
Why I just take the final point?
Oh my goodness, I wasn't even.
Oh my god.
BZZW just, they clumped up so hard together that YYY just takes a free base point. I was so distracted by the fight there.
Yeah, me too. Wow.
Victory for YYY, taking both of their Harbor City matches. That was BZZW's choice, was not?
Yeah, it was BZZW's choice. 2 wins in a row. Why?
Congratulations. And I guess YYY is not slowing down at this point. That was very calculated. They came in with a very spread out formation, and when they pushed, they drew out BZZW towards the supply point, thinking that they're going for the supply point, but realistically, they just wanted BZZW to move away from the base point. They had a couple guys go for the base point, and they just fought BZZW at the near the supply point, not at the supply point, and just very quickly, there goes their base point.
Absolutely. Wow, very good strategy.
Very good strategy, very good movement from YYY, really baiting in BZZW here. I think they're quite terrified to spread out there, trying to well, I think BZZW right now is trying to fight YYY directly. That's why they kind of stayed together. But when you're rigid and inflexible like that, although you might win in a direct confrontation, YYY is winning on different angles here, keeping pressure just around. I'm just, it's so simple that what YYY did was just like simply just distract BZZW from the base point and then just take the base point while BBZW is just distracted. I'm not sure what else I can say. It just happened so fast that like I'm not sure what BZZW could have done better.
Absolutely. Wow, another amazing match by YYY. Congratulations. It's already 2 wins in a row. I think there are a lot of pressures on BZZWs right now because they actually chose the Harbor City map.
We'll be heading on to Hailong Fjord now, and you'd think that YYY would probably be more skilled in Hailong Fjord than Harbor City. So it is indeed a lot of pressure, and being down 2-0, I can't imagine BZZW's feeling comfortable right now, as man, taking those losses on a map of your choosing, especially if you practice that map a lot. But it's also just amazing that even this far into CBL, we could still come out with amazing strategies, or again, just strategies from teams from the CBL with coordination that is unlike what you see in regular play.
Absolutely. I was so surprised by the strategy that is carried out by YYY.
And it's impressive. The effectiveness that it's showing against BZZW does highlight some very important points where it's the combined force, like it's the combined effort of the whole team to make these strategies work. I think if they were down one person or one person was holding back, these strategies would probably not be as effective, but every single person from YYY seems absolutely committed. Their aggression from the get-go shows that they have absolute confidence in their strategy, and I'm loving it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So they might just 3 wins in a row and finish the match today.
It wouldn't be the first time we've
um,
seen a 3-win victory.
we are going to hand out the gift code right now. So don't forget to redeem it. Yes, this gift code is for APAC. If you're in other servers, don't worry about it because there will be gift code for EU, even though it's not in this match, but there will be.
Oh, that reminds me. I haven't had the opportunity to watch, keep up with the EU and the Americas one. Is the Western Conquerors, when is the Western Conquerors gonna play?
Tomorrow. It's gonna be
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Oh, that's gonna be exciting.
Okay. Yeah, we will share the schedule in the community so that everyone can watch the game.
Oh, that's good. I'm free tomorrow as well. Oh,
I'm so excited what the global finals gonna be like.
oh, for sure. When you go through 2 sets of eliminations from the best teams from each of the regions fighting off against each other. Even now, we're watching the APAC champion face off against second place China mainland, right?
Yeah, BZZW is the second place in China mainland region.
Yeah, so it's already popping off to be exciting to watch and very interesting to watch as both teams try to handle what the other person is bringing.
Absolutely. And we can actually see the strategy that is so different between the west part and the eastern part.
Oh, for sure. Each of the regions kind of develop their own strategy. I mean, at this point, it'd probably be dependent on the teams themselves, but the environment they're also in. I'm just I'm just wondering
Mhm.
whether or not BZZW's got something to bring when the cavalry starts stomping through. Though I'm having a look at the lineup right now. A little bit less cavalry from YYY, and BZZW does seem to have picked up a bunch of cavalry. I'd love to see some Orochi Samurais out as we have 3 Orochis coming from BZZW. I wonder if they're going to be effective here. It's hard to say. They do have a very interesting kill reset on top line, not to mention they heal. So their stab can be fairly deadly. Let's see if they can keep stabbing to sustain the damage.
Absolutely. Well, please suppress me again, YYY.
Indeed, YYY will be attacking again, and it's always it's always hard to say how a match in Heilong Fjord is going to go because there's a lot of times where you think one side of the defense, well, the defending is defending one side very well. All of a sudden, the other point gets taken, and the defending side, all of a sudden starts breaking down as they do a massive retreat towards the C section, or all the way back to the back supply point, which is a bit scrambled, but could lead to attackers gaining a lot of ground and a lot of advantages with just catching the units and heroes.
Absolutely.
But does look like a full-on setup for BZZW here on the A point. Plenty of Iron Reefers once on the wall. Very intimidating. Just taking a quick look at the unit selection. They're trying to use as much tier 5s, tier 4s, and tier 3s as possible. Very small amounts of tier 1s here. Does look like both teams are trying to make absolute effectiveness of their leadership, which is, again, a very important thing as well. Warband setup, not only is unit selection important, making effective use of
Indeed.
their 700 leadership. Wow, what a treb! I didn't actually think that the treb would land like that, but a lot of Iron Reapers just got damaged heavily there, and I think quite a few of them just dropped.
Wow.
I think that took out 11 Iron Reapers there.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Oh, first blood goes to BZZW. I'm not sure who died there, though. The wall breaks do go down. Hailong Fjord is also a very big map at the start. You can have battles on multiple fronts, makes it hard to keep track on what's happening. While I do have a split approach. But I think only around about 5 or 6 players are headed towards the B section, while the rest of them here at poking out the A section with a bunch of mortars, which do seem to be hitting quite hard. That's going to be a lot of damage. Do see a fight on towards the B side. Iron Reapers at the front though, not going to look good if, whoa, more Lancelots actually comes in. Probably the, yep, Wu Wei Magic Guard also comes in, sweeping out the Iron Reapers and the Halberdier here. BZZW.
Wow.
Let's see how they react with the B point getting captured here. Zwanji Heavy Cavalry gets pulled out. Didn't intercept the supply point here.
Wow,
But
the leader
nice.
of BZZW just got killed.
Oh, man. Now the A side's getting pressured. I think they swung too hard as BZZW has an entire force heading towards the B section. But they're going to try to delay the fight as much as they can. Another Zwanji Heavy Cavalry comes in and munches on the Iron Reapers and the Halberdiers in the center there. It's always impressive to see the Murmiolones stand their ground, but a massive retreat. Whoa, Monastic Knights shot him straight through. Not sure what, whoa. The BZZW's defense team is crumbling as the Ace team just ignores A and just goes for the kill. The supply point does get freed up. Iron Reapers still trying to fight, but one by one they are getting cleaned up. A charge. A good charge by the human, in fact. Very rare to see human cavalry come out. I believe these are human. I could be wrong about that. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, those are human cavalry.
They are rare in CBL.
Though we did see 2 of them, in fact, coming out from BZZW, but this does not look good. The defense of BZZW is crumbling, and a massive advantage for YYY right now. We're looking at, wow, they gained over 200 units on top of BZZW here, and that's kind of scary. BZZW probably gonna have to last at least 10 minutes. I don't think they would defend a C here. Very rare to see a C defense. I've only seen it probably once or twice in CBL.
Wow, YYY might just take this one as well.
Wouldn't be surprised. The advantages here is for YYY, but I've seen reversals, wondering whether or not BZZW has the potential to reverse their situation here. They still got a chance. They still have good assets. We got Zhuangzi heavy cavalry along with the Yanyudao. Plenty of Imperial pikemen and halberdiers and halberdier sergeants. Just interesting to see them kind of posture
Our
out some
reinforcements are
weaker
attacking
units
from the
like
harbor.
Sword Militia and the Spear Militia. I think they just want to slow down. I think they just want to slow down YYY, but I don't think YYY is going to slow down at all as they take the sea point. That's going to be probably another 3 minutes, and the harbor getting captured, that's 1 minute. So, that's a good 3 minutes to defend. We also got plenty of assets. They already started mortaring here at the front. Have to be careful. The longsword here getting caught. Guangxi heavy cavalry just skirt the line there. The defense of the supply
Wow, a
point
lot
is
of low tier units.
quite a few at the low tier units, and it's not a bad thing when as YYY is mortaring, but you'll see a tendency for YYY to ignore the lower tier units and aim for some of the higher tier units, which is very good, in fact. No point wasting shots on lower tier units when there's a better target around. They're getting pushed very far back. I think in this position here, YYY could just go straight for that supply point, and it's going to be very difficult for BZZW to kind of pressure them. Not that they have to. A slow retreat into the base point could be an ideal situation. They just need to slow down and waste time, and we've wasted quite a bit of time already. But good hits as well. Do you see that we've got some resources left for the attackers? I mean, for the defenders here. They're using their own mortars, but slowly more shots are getting clean hits onto that pile. Slowly they get pushed out. Which is good if they just let the supply point go here. They'll probably have wasted a lot of artillery from YYY, but it does look like they want to stay around, keep the supply point locked down. It does make it a bit more difficult to attack the base point here. But now YYY does start to move in. They touch the supply point, going right around. Fight at the front here does start off very strangely with a cavalry charge that just gets cut down. What killed them? Another cavalry charge through the center. Does look like BZZW doing a good job taking the main fight, but we still have plenty of units here on the supply point here. Halberdiers and halberdier sergeants combination is doing wonders. But here comes some Spahis. Will they be effective? Doesn't look like Spahis are very effective against the halberdiers right now. And the mass cavalry respawn probably going to overwhelm the remainder here. But good job at holding at the very least.
Summons you.
I think that fight was fairly even in the end. But we're going to be pushed all the way to the base point here, and the remaining members will probably be slow on getting units out, as cavalry is just going to go rock right up onto the base point here. We've only got 2 short swords right now. I don't think they're going to last very long. Oh, this
Yeah,
poor
and
short
BZZW
sword.
only got 9 heroes. Wow.
There he goes. Just
Our team is about to capture the final flag.
there is the respawn,
Destroy them!
but it does look like YYY is choking off the 2 entrances
Destroy them!
towards the base point. And we have it. YYY taking
Wow.
the battle 3-0 very convincingly. And
Congratulations, YYY.
yeah. it's very hard to say what teams can do. I mean, I expected when YYY faced off against SKT, I was expecting SKT to also win, but uh, their cavalry did overwhelm SKT. And here again, we expected, well, not we, but people expected BZZW to win here. But once more, YYY proves that their cavalry has ruled the day. So congratulations again, and I'm wondering again if the next team will figure out a strategy to deal with the cavalry from YYY.
Yeah, in the next match, they're going to face the GX team from China mainland.
And this will be, of course, the first place China mainland and the first place APAC fighting off for the Eastern Conquerors title.
Yeah. Wow, YYY just keep amazing us. Yeah, what a match.
YYY is definitely a strong team, and we can definitely see that their cavalry usage is their highlight. I'm
Absolutely.
just wondering what other teams are going to do with that, because I've seen a bit of a flux here. We've been pushed into kind of like an infantry meta, a lot of strong infantry, but YYY is definitely bringing it back with the cavalry, and teams are probably more used to infantry, so they, I wouldn't say unable to, but doesn't look like um, doesn't look like they're handling the cavalry very well in kind of like this infantry meta. Though YYY is using so much cavalry that you'd think that you would use more units that are good against cavalry here, or maybe the ban on the um, Sunward Phalanx is one of the key problems. Every time, well, I mean, I think YYY is still going to ban out the Sunward's Phalanx here. As long as the Sunward's Phalanx is not on the field, I think their cavalry usage is going to be continue to be a menace, regardless.
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, we're going to do the ban pick tonight, and there will be two matches tomorrow. The winner vs winner, and the lost side vs the lost side. And
third place.
Azaki will also be here with us. We're gonna co-casting.
And I'll be
So
happy to
let's
co-cast.
looking forward to what YYY will bring to us.
I'm also interested to see
So
what
see you
the
guys.
bye.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.